Yo, what is up, everyone, and welcome back to the World of Sports podcast. I'm your host, Lucas, with your host,
Brendan.
and today we're gonna be talking about pretty much Detroit sports and Cleveland sports. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. Make sure you guys share it to your friends, tell your friends about the podcast. I appreciate all the support, and I'm sure Brendan does as well.
Yep.
With the last podcast, and
Mhm.
yeah, I hope everyone's having a good day. You got anything to say, Brendan?
I just want to say again, thanks for all the support. Um, you know, we really do appreciate it. This is our fourth podcast. Hopefully we're gonna be on schedule this week. I know we've been a little bit off schedule this week with stuff, but um, this video should be out on Monday. Our podcast should be out on Monday. Um, and then we should have another podcast on Wednesday and one on Friday. Um,
Yep.
so yeah, so if you guys are enjoying these podcasts, again, like, subscribe, and tell us what we can do better in the comments.
Yep. All right. So I don't think we're gonna be talking about NHL, just because that's not like
No, well,
a main thing. But we'll probably you want to talk about college teams too,
no, because
football and
for me, well, I can talk about. I mean, there's no. If we're talking about Cleveland, and there's no sports that. I mean, there's no college sports that I follow in Cleveland.
or
And also, there's not a hockey team in Cleveland other than the Monsters, which is a minor league hockey team. So,
yeah, yeah. All right.
but
Um,
I could.
that
I don't know if it's.
was
I don't know if it's like it for Michigan, but there is two major cities in Ohio that have sports, and I'm not gonna be talking about Cincinnati. Well, mainly because I know more about Cleveland sports than I know about Cincinnati sports, but I'm just not a Cincinnati sports fan. So
yeah. All right. So I guess you want to just start with baseball. We can start with baseball.
yeah, sure.
It's my favorite sport. So, I guess I'll start off. So I'll pretty much say we're just gonna be talking about our teams and just like if we think our teams are good or bad or rebuilding or I don't know, like trying to get better. Um, and we'll just talk about what our like if we think our teams will make the playoffs or have a chance to make the playoffs, stuff like that. So we're gonna start off with baseball. I'm gonna talk about my Detroit Tigers. Tigers have not made the playoffs since 2014, and we've probably been a bad team since 2017. So it's been 3 years of losing pretty much. And we almost made the playoffs in 2016, but that was kind of a F in the chat right there. But the
Go
Tigers have
Indians.
pretty much been the worst team in baseball for the last 2 years. And I feel like this year we're gonna have a better year. We signed Jonathan Scope, a good second baseman slash shortstop. We signed CJ Cron from the Twins. He had like 20 something homers last year. He'll be our first baseman, and Miggy will be our DH this year. If obviously baseball resumes and all that. Um, and I honestly I think our team offensively will be better. I don't know about the rotation. The rotation's kind of garbage. But Michael Fulmer will be coming. I don't know if you guys know who Michael Fulmer is, but he won Rookie of the Year in 2016. Evan in 2017, he made the All-Star team in his second year. Then in 2018, Tommy John surgery. 2019, Tommy John surgery. So I'm hoping it goes back to 2016, 2017 this year. It's gonna be his first year back in 2 years, and he's like 26 years old. He had a lot of potential a few years ago, and I honestly think we were offered insanely good prospects that are like superstars right now. Instead, Fulmer doesn't look very good right now. Hopefully, he stays healthy, and if he does, he can maybe get back to where he was a few years ago. But our rotation might be a little bit better since he's healthy. We also have we signed a few guys on the rotation too. I don't remember who, but we have Daniel Norris. We have Matthew Boyd. Boyd we should have traded in the offseason, but we didn't do it. Um, so yeah, our rotation might be okay, but it's not amazing. Bullpen we're kind of garbage there. But I honestly think the Tigers will probably be okay. This might sound crazy because the Tigers didn't they lost like 100 games last year, but I can see them being third place in the division. I can see one team being worse. I think the Kansas City Royals might be worse. But we'll have to see. Maybe the White Sox, but the White Sox did okay in off season. So I can see the Royals being worse than the Tigers, but it's gonna be close. Tigers aren't gonna be amazing. But I think we'll do a little bit better than last year. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna talk about what I think the I mean, not Lions. I'm gonna talk about where I think Detroit's gonna place. Anyway, since they're in the same division as the Indians, which how it should be in all sports, Detroit and Cleveland should be in the same divisions.
Yeah.
No, but with the Indians, I mean, they didn't really change a lot from last year to this year. They have changed a lot since 2017. They've gotten some assets and lost assets. They didn't. Their last playoff season was 2018, but their last good season was, well, they've been good since like 2016. So, I feel like this year they'll bounce. I'm not trying to be biased, but I feel like this year it's impossible not to be biased, but I feel like this year they'll bounce back. And they'll either make the wild card or they'll beat the Twins and be division winners. Again with Detroit, I think they'll also. I don't mean to. I'm not done, but I just building off what Lucas said. I think Detroit will be fourth. And then I think the Royals will be worse than Detroit. The White Sox also could have a chance of being a wild card team because they got better in the offseason.
Oh, and by the way, I didn't mean to say third place. I forgot there's 5 teams in divisions in baseball. I meant to say 4th. But yeah.
Okay, yeah. But I think the Indians could make the playoffs again. I don't think they're not. I think they're not contenders to make the World Series, and I don't think it'll happen. But I feel like they'll make the playoffs. So yeah.
But no offense, I'm not trying to like start an argument here, but the Indians are getting older, so I mean, they did trade a few of their older players as well, but like.
Well, they have Lindor and Jose Ramirez.
I mean, Lindor is probably their youngest guy that's actually good.
Jose Ramirez is.
But,
Jose Ramirez is younger than Lindor.
Yeah, but I feel like Lindor still has like more potential to unleash than Ramirez does.
Unleash, they both have unleashed.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I feel like Lindor still has a lot left in the tank. I think Ramirez is just like a great hitter. But
well, I'm not here.
I mean, I can see the Indians making the playoffs. I just don't see them beating the Twins in the division.
I have to talk real quick about something. The rotation for the Indians it's not as good as it was in 2016 when they made the World Series and when the Cavs won the championship. It's not as good as it was then, but it's still not bad by any means. They have Shane Bieber, who's arguably a top 10 pitcher, or not maybe not arguably. I would say he's probably a top 20, top 15, top 10 pitcher in the league.
No offense, I didn't even know who he was until like this past year.
He won the All-Star MVP. Neither did I. Because last year was his first
year or something.
No, but last year was his first year on the Indians. He won All-Star MVP. And anytime you do that, that just kind of proves that you're at least a decent player.
Yeah.
Also, they're good at batting too. They're one of their best strong suit is their batting. They have, Carlos Santana, who has always been a power hitter, and then they have Francisco Lindor, Jose Ramirez. They signed Oscar Mercado this last year. He's not even old. A lot of people have been saying he's old. He's not even old. So I feel like they're overlooked. But yeah, that's all I have to say about the Indians. Probably the least amount of knowledge about any team that I know in Cleveland.
Oh yeah. So yeah, pretty much I have the Tigers being 4th place and I have the Indians being like 2nd place. Brendan says they could either be 1st or 2nd. I mean, he also has the Tigers being 4th. So we're pretty much in the same area right there. I guess let's go ahead and move on to
I'm gonna go NBA. I'm gonna say this first since you went first last time. The Cavs obviously are in rebuilding mode. It's not a question. I think it's safe to say that if they do go back, it's just gonna go straight into the playoffs. I don't think they're gonna finish the season out.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I just want to say, I like what the Cavs have been doing in the draft the last couple years. Darius Garland is gonna be he's not gonna be. I don't think he's gonna be. He can be borderline All Star, but I don't think he's ever gonna be a superstar. Um, and I don't. It's too early to predict these guys. But Colin Sexton has been looking good. He averaged 25 points throughout January. Um, he, I don't. It's hard to explain because a lot of people think he should be playing point guard, but then he's been better in his career at shooting guard. So I could see him being like Allen Iverson. Well, he's not even short. So he is. He's like 6'3", but I could see him being like Allen Iverson, being a small shooting guard.
I can see him more like C.J. McCollum. That's where I.
Well,
kind
I'm
of
talking
see.
about like size wise, not like
Mm,
player comparisons. Like
yeah.
size wise, I can see. I don't. It's hard. Their best. I feel like their worst thing is that they have way too many guards. They have like two centers on the team, so I'm glad that they're gonna re-sign Andre Drummond. Well, it's not for sure, obviously, but he's gonna accept his player option, which is gonna be nice. And then they're keeping Kevin Love. Finally, those rumors have been put to rest. Although I did want to for a while, I wanted to see Kevin Love be traded. I'm really content now that they have a center because I feel like they're gonna get rid of Tristan Thompson when his contract is up. So, um, I'm not gonna
I
lie.
think this was his contract year.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it was. It was either this year or it's next year. Um, I'm just glad to see that I could see them making the playoffs within the next 3 to 5 years. Um, and
I mean, let's hope so.
well, yeah.
If it's anything past that, then
Well, some teams take like 10 years to make the playoffs. So,
yeah, those are some bad teams.
but they're gonna have a top five. Well, it's not guaranteed, but I'm hoping they have a top five pick in this year's draft. And I just want to say, if they take LaMelo Ball, I'm done being a Cavs fan. If they take another point guard or shooting guard, okay, I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound rude, and you can predict whoever that you think your team's gonna take, but I see Cavs fans. Oh, LaMelo's going to the. You're stupid. Stop. I doubt they're gonna pick another point guard for the third year in a row now, and if they do, then I'm gonna be upset because I just don't want to see LaMelo go to the Cavs. I hope they pick either Anthony Edwards or James Wiseman, and that's where I'm gonna leave it with the Cavs.
All right. Um. Okay. So with the Pistons, obviously this was not a year where we won a lot of games, but we started off the year okay. The issue is this year it was health issues, and Derrick Rose, he was healthy. He was actually Derrick Rose was kind of healthy this year. He played a lot more games than Blake did. Obviously, Blake only played like a total of 10 games, and he even when he was on the court, he was averaging like 12 points a game compared to his 24 points per game last year. Blake was just not healthy at all this year, and that's why I think the Pistons were really good. But the thing is, we were playing Blake ball last year, which is why he was hurt this year. Because Blake Griffin, he's an athletic-based player, which he can shoot now, and he doesn't only rely on his dunking anymore, but he does rely on his strength and his power. And if we just give Blake the ball every single time, he's just not going to be able to stay healthy. So we need to build a team around Blake where we have a bunch of shooters and probably a ball dominant point guard, which we kind of have now in Derrick Rose. But I feel like we just need a superstar because Blake is a star in my opinion. He made the All Star team last year and he made the third team All NBA last year. But like I said, he couldn't stay healthy this year. And Derrick Rose, I feel like still has potential to make an All Star team. He was in the voting race this year. Just Pistons weren't a good enough team for him to make it to the All Star team. Same as Drummond, he didn't make the All Star team either. But obviously we don't have Drummond anymore. We traded him, but I mean, let's be honest, we would have overpaid him, and then we would have been stuck in mediocre. Yeah, like being a mediocre team for the next few years if we would have kept Drummond. Um, and honestly, like Pistons, last time we made the playoffs was last year, and we got swept by the Bucks. The time before that, in 2016, we got swept by the Cavs in
Let's
the
go.
first round as eighth seed. So I mean, the last two times we made the playoffs, got swept 2 times in a row. Pistons have like 3 or 4 championships. That's like fifth or sixth most in NBA history. So we got to get back to winning championships, and I feel like we could win a championship around Blake, but I feel like he would have to be the second best player in our team. We need to get the main guy, which is difficult to do for a team that's in Detroit. We're not going to sign a guy that's going to be amazing. So pretty much we have to draft a superstar this year, and let's hope we get lucky in the lottery, because if we do, like, I mean, no one really expected the Pelicans to jump up to #1, so it's a lot more possible with the Pistons, because we have a worse record than the Pelicans did last year. So I'm thinking if the Pistons at least have like a top 5 pick, I'm hoping we can get I don't even know really what our main position of need is. Maybe a small forward. I mean, Obi Toppin would be nice, and we could probably move him to the 3. Um, I mean, LaMelo would be alright, but I like Derrick Rose. I mean, I low-key don't want to get rid of him. He's got a good contract too. He only has 1 year left on his deal, so only give him a 2-year deal. But we're stuck with Blake for 2 more years too. So pretty much, I don't see any teams being interested in Blake right now because of his health issues and all the money he's getting paid. So the Pistons are pretty much stuck with this team. So we just have to build a decent team around Blake and Derrick Rose. And if we can do that, I think we can make the playoffs next year if everyone's healthy. I know it doesn't look like that because our record were like 20 games under 500 this year, but we also weren't expecting G League players to be on our team this year. So I can see us being probably 8th seed next year if everything goes well for us in the draft and all that. And honestly, I wouldn't be mad if we traded Blake, but it has to be for the right pieces, because I'm not just gonna let Blake go like that. So yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the Pistons could make the playoffs next year, depending if we trade Blake or not. That's all I have to say.
Okay, this is the last thing. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this about the Andre Drummond contract. Well, first of all, the trade. I know you're probably you're not gonna disagree with this. This is obvious. The Cavs. I feel like maybe money wise, the Cavs definitely didn't win this part of the trade, but if for getting a good player, the Cavs won.
Well, yeah, for sure. Brandon Knight's the worst point guard I've ever seen in my whole life.
He wasn't bad when he was with Phoenix.
Yeah, and I mean the Pistons drafted Brandon Knight. We let him go. We gave him to the
You guys
Bucks.
missed him so much.
Crashed there. Then he went to Phoenix. He was decent. I mean, and then he went to the Cavs, and now he's back with the Pistons. It's horrible. I don't want to see him in a Pistons uniform ever again.
Yeah. And also,
John Henson's okay though.
Yeah, John Henson isn't bad. With Andre Drummond, with the Cavs, he has said multiple times he likes Cleveland. And there was rumors that said that he didn't like him, and he put it to bunk and said that he loves Cleveland, and loves being here. So if he does re-sign, I'm not going to be angry, and if he doesn't, I'm not going to be angry, because it's really a thing. You know, if he re-signs, we get a player that averages 17 points, 2 assists, and 20 rebounds. Or not, he doesn't average 20, he averages like 17 or something, but so if he re-signs, he's not a solid center. He's one of the best. He's probably top 5 centers in the league. And if he doesn't re-sign, then whatever it is, what it is, we'll find somebody else. My main thing is I don't think they're gonna draft now that they have gotten Andre Drummond, and if they keep them, then I don't think they're gonna draft James Wiseman, because they don't need another center. Yeah. Unless they want to use him as a backup center his whole career, which I don't think they're going to do that, because I think I'd rather see them draft Anthony Edwards and start him, or even Obi Toppin and move him to small forward. I'd rather see him draft either one of them and put him over Cedi Osman, even though I like Cedi. He's just not that good of a player.
He's like a bench piece.
Yeah. So I still don't know, but then again, if they do that, then I don't know what they might not even draft a small forward, because they already have Kevin Porter Jr. So I don't know. Kevin Porter Jr. is playing great. I don't know why he didn't start for the Cavs. But
I mean, he could be like a 6th man for his career, though. I mean,
he was averaging like 20 points off the bench.
Yeah, but Lou Williams averages 20 off the bench.
Yeah, but Kevin Porter Jr. is a rookie. Lou Williams has been in the league for like 20,000 years.
What? Alright. So I guess now we can go ahead and move on to the NFL.
This is what I'm most excited to talk about. I know the most about the NFL. I watch the most NFL.
So, I guess I'll start off with the NFL here.
Yeah.
Obviously, you guys know, Lions just had the, 3rd pick in the draft. Honestly, I think we had a really good offseason. We signed the past few years, we've always signed like big name free agents. This year, we signed a few guys. Once again, we kept with the Patriots trend, signed a few Patriots guys. But yeah, pretty much probably guys that can start, or at least good people to come in if we need like extra people in the field or whatever. So we got a few starters in free agency. In the draft, I feel like we drafted 3 starters, so come off the sidelines and field whenever we need them.
Yeah.
Lions only won 3-12-1 or some crap like that last year. I wish we would have had the 2nd pick so we could have drafted Chase Young. But I like Jeff Okudah. I'm happy with that. Also like us drafting DeAndre Swift. I also think that was a good pick as well. I think the Lions, I've heard this not just from Lions fans, like from NFL people in general. They've said that the Lions had one of the best drafts in the draft. Not the best, but one of the best drafts. So I feel like the Lions could make the playoffs. I see them being better than the Bears. I also think we could be better than the Vikings. It's probably gonna be a toss-up though. I could see the Lions winning 9 games next year and maybe making the wild card. But I don't see us winning the division or anything like that. But Stafford will be healthy this year. He pretty much didn't play at all last year besides like the first 5 games. And I know as long as Stafford and our running backs are all healthy, because our running backs are never healthy. Now that we have DeAndre Swift, he's got some fresh legs on him. I feel like honestly the Lions offense will be a lot better. And defensively, we got Jeff Okudah. We drafted a lot of people on defense, and we signed a few guys on defense. I think our team will be much improved from last season. So I think, yeah, 9 wins is pretty realistic, in my opinion. What's your thoughts on the Lions, Brendan?
I think, again, I think the Vikings. I know. I said a couple days ago in the other podcast that the Lions will be better than the Vikings. I think either the Vikings will have this. In my opinion, the Vikings will have the same record or be better. But I can see there being 3 playoffs teams in that division, 2 wild cards and one division winner.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I have it with it. And I think they had a good off season. I don't know if they had the best draft. I don't think they have. But yeah, I think they had a good off season. I'm not sure who they signed as free agents.
Signed a few guys. No one amazing. Well, because we're just trying to like build a system, I guess, like a Patriots type. I don't know.
Yeah, you guys.
Hopefully it works out though.
You guys have been copying off the Patriots a little.
Yeah, it's because our freaking GM used to be with the Patriots, and we got a freaking head coach that used to be with the Patriots.
How long have you guys even had Matthew Stafford?
Since 2014? 8? No, 14. What?
Wait, 2000?
No, like 2008.
God, that long? Jesus.
Yeah, he's like 31 years old. Right? We drafted him when he was like 21 or 22.
Oh, I said... Oh, no, I meant Matt Patricia, not Matthew Stafford. My bad.
Oh, Patricia's only been here for 2 years.
Oh. I thought... Okay. Well, I'm gonna get on and talk about the Browns, not with the Browns. Again, last year, it's the same thing. The Browns have been, like, the best team in the offseason for... arguably the best team in the offseason for 2 years in a row now. And... Well, last year, everyone thought the Browns did really good last year, and looking back at it, they didn't, other than signing OBJ and adding some other assets to the drafts and stuff like that, they didn't really do that good, because they didn't, with their head coaching decisions and just their front office decisions were horrible. We had a horrible head coach, first-time head coach, and our head coach this year is the first time too. But he's had experience with winning teams, unlike Freddie Kitchens. But I just want to get into the offseason that they had. They signed Kevin Stefanski, who was on the Vikings, so he's won playoff games with them, and he had a good relationship with Kirk Cousins. So what I want to see with the Browns is, I want to see the same thing that Well, yeah, I want to see the same things, the same relationship that Kirk Cousins had with Kevin Stefanski, with Baker Mayfield and him. So I want to see a strong relationship between, because although with Freddie Kitchens, I don't think Baker liked him a lot. None of the players liked him. He was disrespected. That's why there were so many penalties, you know. Because they didn't care for the coach, so they just never listened to him. So I feel like the players will actually respect. I feel like there was no discipline on the team last year, and I feel like Kevin Stefanski will be able to put discipline. So I can see, I have the Browns finishing second over the Steelers. Now I in our mock season or whatever, our predictions video, not video podcast that we did last, I had the Steelers finishing last, which is stupid. It should have been the Bengals. I can see the Steelers having the same record as the Browns, but I do have the Browns being the overall better team. The Browns, in my opinion, did have a top 3 draft. They didn't have like a top 3 pick, but they did, in the picks that they had, they picked what they needed and not what they wanted. So they needed a left tackle. They picked a left tackle. They needed a safety. They picked a safety. They needed a linebacker. They picked a linebacker. So they did good in the draft. You know, their head office right now is making good decisions. Andrew Berry has been a good GM for them. They signed Austin Hooper, the most paid tight end. Now, I don't think he deserves that, and I think a team will. I think when George Kittle's or Travis Kelce's, I don't know. I think Travis Kelce just got re-signed, but I think when George Kittle has to get re-signed, he's going to take the crown from Austin Hooper. But I'm glad that they got another tight end. I expect them to run 2 tight end schemes a lot. So Austin Hooper and David Njoku in at the same time, whether it's for blocking or just have 2 tight ends running out on routes. But overall I just think the Browns did really good. I see the Browns making the playoffs next season. Now, I said that last season too. I never said that they were gonna win the Super Bowl like people say, like a lot of other Browns fans said, or not Browns fans. Well, yeah, Browns fans, but analyst says. I don't think they are gonna win the Super Bowl this year either. But who knows? They may surprise. Every team has a chance to win the Super Bowl. But I think they're gonna make the playoffs. That's what I gotta say. So what do you think, Lucas?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Browns, like, I completely disagreed with your Steelers opinion last podcast, but yeah, I mean, I like what you're saying now that the Steelers and Browns are pretty close. I
Talent.
mean, the Steelers haven't had a losing record since Mike Tomlin has been their coach.
I would say talent-wise, the Browns are better.
Well, yeah, talent-wise, but the Steelers always have amazing coaching, which is why they're always like a playoff team, at least besides the last 2 years. But they've always had like good records. They've never lost more than like, I don't even know how many games, but yeah, I could see the Browns winning 9 or 10 games. But they just have to build team chemistry up. I feel like that's what the issue was.
Well, I feel like team chemistry this year will be better because these guys have been together for 3 years now.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, with the I've seen people say the Browns. I've seen analysts say the Browns could win the division. I don't think it'll happen. I don't think the Browns will win the division.
No.
But I think it could be
close. I mean, we'll see. I mean, maybe if like Lamar gets injured or something like that, but
I don't think Lamar's gonna have as good as a season he did last year.
Oh, for sure. I don't see that happening either. If he does, then he might be like one of the greatest quarterbacks.
Well, I don't think he's gonna have even like a Pro Bowl season, but I don't think he'll be a Pro Bowl player, like selected as one. Because there's so many quarterbacks in the AFC.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, we really don't have much more to talk about. This was a little bit more of a shorter podcast, but we just wanted to make a whole dedicated podcast to our teams.
Yeah.
And just so you guys know our opinions about our teams. We're not trying to be biased, like with all this stuff that we said. If it sounds like we're trying to be biased, then we're sorry, but
it's impossible not to.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to be as unbiased as I possibly could.
Yeah, same.
But I'm also still a fan of my teams, so I'm not gonna like. I mean, with the Tigers, I hope the Tigers are the worst team in baseball again.
Yeah, same with
I just honestly want them to. Yeah, I just want the Tigers to get good draft picks every year. This coming up year, we're gonna have the first overall pick, so I'm hoping baseball does not have to draft players like let them go back to college or whatever. Cause this whole quarantine thing. But yeah, man, that's pretty much all we have for today's podcast. I'm guessing it was like probably over half an hour, probably like 40 minutes or
It's
something like
exactly a
that.
half hour.
Yeah. So hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. I don't know if you have any final thoughts, Brendan.
Make sure to go subscribe to our
Yeah, we'll have it at the end of this podcast, I'm guessing, right? You'll put both our channels right there.
yeah.
And hope you guys enjoyed.
Yeah.
That's all I really have.
I will see you guys. We will see you guys in the next
See.
podcast.
Peace out.
Peace.